Koreans that emigrate to the US like a long time ago, they're moving to like the US and you would think they'd be more open-minded, but they actually tend to be a little more closed-minded and kind of stuck in time when they leave Korea. That kind of culture is set in their mind and they never really get accustomed and they don't know what's happening in Korea.
안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
How are you feeling, JP?
I'm feeling awkward, but
Awkward?
I'm here, so
Open my hot splash.
I'm already halfway done with mine.
Do you want to briefly introduce yourself?
Seokju mentioned my name is JB. I'm from the US, I'm from California, Silicon Valley area. And I've been here for the last 6 years in Korea. And I met Seokjun 4 years ago working at Magpie.
You've been here for 6 years?
Yeah, I've been here for 6 years now. Here much longer than I anticipated, but
What was your original plan?
I wanted to start my own business here in craft beer, actually. I used to homebrew a lot back in the US. In my neighborhood, it was like Sierra Nevada and all those breweries pretty nearby, but pretty much just as a hobby. And then growing up in Silicon Valley, I was always kind of interested in like the startup scene. Yeah, I went to UC Davis, and then I graduated and I went to work for a big corporate consulting firm. And it was a lot of fun, like all like our clients were fun. Facebook and Tesla and Apple, all those
Tech
companies, yeah, all those tech companies. So it was fun like working with them and interfacing with them.
Like, what were you consulting about?
Tax consulting, corporate like tax consulting.
You studied accounting?
I didn't study accounting, I studied economics because I didn't really know what I wanted to do, so everybody that doesn't know what they want to do studies economics. It was fun, but I worked there for like 2 years. I didn't really see myself working there forever. A lot of people will go into like corporate consulting, like a big accounting firm, and just stay there for their entire lives, 15, 20, 30 years. And I respect that, people who can do that, but I didn't see myself doing that. And wanted to change up kind of like the environment, and that's how I ended up in Korea. I mean, I'm Korean and I speak a little bit of Korean, but I've always kind of disliked Korea, actually when I was younger. Korea is a lot of fun when you're of age, like you can drink. I would always come here with my parents like every 2 or 3 years to visit relatives, but at that age there's nothing to do. You just go to relatives' places and just basically just wait around the whole time.
Like, how was your childhood like in the States?
I was actually born in Yeouido.
You were born in Korea?
I was born in Yeongdeungpo, and then I moved abroad to the US when I was 6 months old. Yeah, we were in New Jersey until I was 5 years old, and then we moved to California. And my family's still there right now. We grew up in a nice neighborhood, like a suburban neighborhood. It was a good mix of like white families, Asian families, a lot of Indian people too. How would I explain my childhood? How would you explain your childhood?
My childhood?
Yeah.
Confusing.
Confusing. I wasn't confused because from the beginning, I was exposed to like American culture. Like I had friends of all different races and like we didn't even care about race, right? So like my best friend in elementary school was Iranian. And then my best friend in like middle school was Indian. And then my best friend later was, I don't know, Chinese. I had, yeah, we were all buddies. And then I think I got lucky and I grew up in a neighborhood where there wasn't any racism. Like, there wasn't any like blatant racism and it was a nice community. But as you get older and older, the interesting thing is like when you're super young, all your friends are of all different races. But as we get older and we go to high school, like the Asians start hanging out with the Asians, and then like Indians hang out with Indians, and then the white people hang out with white people. I don't know if this can go on YouTube, but it's the truth. It was a little confusing for me too, because my life at school and like with my friends, that was full on American culture. But then when I go home, it was very Korean, actually. As I told you while we were having dinner, Koreans that emigrate to the US like a long time ago, they're moving to like the US and you would think they'd be more open-minded, but they actually tend to be a little more closed-minded and kind of stuck in time when they leave Korea. That kind of culture is set in their mind and they never really get accustomed and they don't know what's happening in Korea. Yeah, my parents are awesome, but it was super Korean. Like you go home, we're eating like rice in the morning. Nobody eats rice in the morning in the US. Everybody's eating like cereal. My mom's giving my rice and like making me 장어 in the morning. She'd pack me lunch and like all the other kids have a very American meal, like sandwiches. My mom has like this 도시락 with like 5, 6 different layers of like banchan. My mom would make kimbap all the time for me. And my mom, 손이 커, so like she makes a lot. For some reason, she thought some like middle school kid could eat like 30 kimbap for lunch. And so I just ended up selling kimbap to my friends for like 25 cents each.
Oh my god.
And they would buy it. Can I open this?
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to open this with a can. I've never tried this before, but
Oh,
it
nice.
worked. I got it. Interested in craft beer. I came to Korea for a month on vacation. And I kind of met everybody in beer. And then I ended up meeting Eric and Tiffany. And they offered me a job about 2 days before I was on the way back home. Kind of thought about it. I wanted to move to Korea to start my own business here. I didn't really know the culture. My Korean was still pretty bad. So I figured, it'd probably be a pretty stupid move to come here and start a business right away. That's like the proper way to fail. And so I took the offer. I ended up not doing something in beer, but doing something of my own, a startup in here. I thought I was young, but time's gone by so quickly. I've been working for 10 years now, and I never took like a break. No breaks.
You need a break.
Yeah, I need a break.
I mean, where do you live? Maybe
I live in
start with that.
Samgakji. It's like right smack dab in the middle of Seoul.
What do you like about that area?
Yeah, access is the biggest thing. I'm always kind of curious what it would be like to live in like a Yeonidong or something, where it's like really quaint and it's got a super like community vibe. It's not like that. I like it because it's kind of like the intersection of modern Korea mixed in with the old. So there's a lot of like nopo chips, like really old restaurants.
What is nopo?
I see it as just OG. Like if you're an English speaker, it's like OG. They've been around like 40, 50 years, making like the same menu for the last that many years, guaranteed to be good. Some people like eating like super clean restaurants, but it could be a little grungy, not the cleanest, but they have the best food.
Do you have like a favorite nopo around your place?
I live next to a neighborhood called Yongmun-dong. There's this really good 숙성회집. You can't sit down, you have to do takeout. So my girlfriend and I go there regularly now.
Do you know the name?
I don't know the name. Yeah, that happens a lot in Korea. You go to like a nopochip, but you don't know the name. You just know where it is. We like nogari.
Care to explain?
Nogari is it's just dried fish.
It's
doesn't
got the
taste
cardboard texture.
It tastes pretty bad, actually. Like, if you're not drunk, it's gonna taste pretty bad.
It's all about the sauce, which is usually mayonnaise.
Yeah, you eat it for the mayonnaise and the gochujang mix.
And like a ube, like a pint
Yeah,
of beer.
a pint of ice cold beer.
Just like straight up lager.
Right, sitting outside
On like a plastic table.
plastic table.
stool.
It's all about the atmosphere, right? My girlfriend and I, we work together too. So it's like we're together like all the time. Sometimes you need alone time, and if you're working together, that puts some like extra stress.
Do you put in like extra effort to separate the work part of the relationship?
We try, but it's like almost impossible. Cause like right now our lives are like really invested into this business. Basically work is life. But that's why we try to go camping. It's like the only time we can really drop our phones and just not think about work. Just kind of like shut your brain off. Dude, we're super like committed into this, man. Like it's all in. Because it has to work.
It has to work.
It has to, there's no failure in the question. This is going to work.
What's work?
Succeed. Yeah, for us to be happy together. But this is not, we're not talking about local stuff. Seoul, I wore this t-shirt, it says Seoul on it.
Okay. What is your favorite hangout spot?
Usually just go somewhere in Hyochang Park actually. Walk my dog that way. Like the air is super crisp too. It's quiet, not a lot of people. It's been nice to kind of like shut off a little bit. Cause Seoul's so loud, like even my apartment, super loud. Like you open the windows and you can hear the train and the cars and the motorcycles, but it's nice to go somewhere quiet.
Maybe we can talk about where you try to avoid.
Try to avoid places with too many people. But some people like places where it's like super bustling and like there are a ton of people. But we like going to Hangang too, but we try to go to like the parks where there aren't a lot of people. Yeouido Hangang Park, there's so many people, right? So that's one of the places we try to avoid. Places where you can't find parking. We won't really drive a whole lot like in Seoul, unless we're like going to like Costco or something or grocery shopping. We go to Costco a lot. Costco, if you're American and you need like a reminder of home, when I go to Costco, I feel like I'm in America for a little bit. All the products are American products, like Kirkland brand stuff.
That was the first brand that I thought of.
Yeah, I like Costco. It makes me feel like I'm at home.
Very wholesale.
Yeah, like bulk.
Bulk.
As much as possible. Somebody we work with, he's from France. He hates Costco. He's like, why would you buy so much that you don't need? So much waste.
Let's talk about the pet peeves.
The pros is it's very convenient. Like the city is never asleep, so even if you're awake at like 2 a.m. or 3 a.m., you go outside, like there's like somebody outside. I don't like to be overly negative. When I came to Korea, I met a lot of like foreigners that have lived here for like 10 plus years, like 10 to 15 years. I always got the feeling like they had so many complaints. And I understood, I could empathize with them, but I thought I never want to be like that. You chose to live here. You have to deal with the pros and the cons, or else you live somewhere else, right? But the cons are, the nice thing about Korea is if you drive an hour or like even 40 minutes outside of Seoul, you're completely out of Seoul and you're kind of like in the mountains. But as nice it is to be able to escape with a car, driving in Seoul is pretty annoying. 5 minutes on the road, yeah, you're gonna get cut off by somebody. Finding parking spots is a huge pain in the ass. Too many cars in the city, that's the problem. People being rude is less of an issue these days, I think. I think younger like Koreans are super polite, but like 아저씨s. 아저씨s ruin everything. With any country, it's like the older generation. They're just teaching the younger generation the wrong thing, and they're the ones in like power and like leadership. I think the future of Korea is bright, but it needs time.
All right, last question. Try to summarize yourself in like a couple sentences.
All right, my name is JB. I'm from NorCal, the San Francisco Bay Area. I was born in Yeongdeungpo. I moved back to the US, grew up there my whole life. Somehow ended up coming back here to start my own business. I live in 삼각지 now, been there for the last 6 years, and now I feel like I'm a local. That's it. That wasn't as good as the first one. I don't know, the first one wasn't even good, but
That's okay.
I'm a little drunk now.